Howdy all, welcome to Lex Lives. I think it's time to play a little Minecraft. Alright. So, I've been doing a little digging and some building. Get out of there. And I've got a oh, dang it. I just realized that I put this wall in the wrong spot and this wall over here. Dang it. I have to tear down the walls I just built. Not this one. This one's fine. Not these ones, though. Dang it. Anyways. So I did some work, but now I have to tear a good chunk of what I did down. Great. Yeah, I did, I got a pretty good idea where I'm going with this now. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much know where I'm going with this. I was just thinking though, man, I wish there were other things I could make. Maybe I just got a new idea. I am gonna need nether brick for this. I don't have any nether brick. Alright, let me finish tearing this out on this side. And then we'll have to head to the nether so I can grab some netherrack. Oh, I think I just have a chest full of netherrack, actually. So, yeah, that won't be so bad. I can just go grab some and bring it back and throw it in the furnaces. And that will work great. Man, my week was horribly busy this week. Just ridiculous. Yesterday was the first day I managed to get done with work before 7 p.m. And I start in the a.m. And I don't appreciate having to work for 2 hours later than normal that many days in a row. Like a day, okay. But 3 days in a row, no. That's just horrible. And if it was like work 2 hours later and then, you know, not have anything to do, that would be okay. But it's not. It's work 2 hours later and then still have everything you normally do in those 2 hours still to do. Yeah, it's Monday was mildly irritating. They took the car in. One of the people who live here took their car in to the mechanic last week, and the mechanic was supposed to. Oh, good. See, I do have some. Was supposed to call them back and let them know when the car was ready. And so whatever the part was, they had to order it, and so the part wasn't going to be ready for like multiple days, and so they weren't going to be able to get their car till next week. Alright, one of these should be cooking and isn't. You're okay. You need some. You could use some. Oh, you're using charcoal and not coal. Sorry. we'll do it that way then. And so when I got up Monday morning to go to work, I thought, I wonder if they got their call for their car. And I talked to the person and they didn't say anything, and so I thought, well, I guess they didn't get their car back today. And I thought they were gonna call yesterday and see about their car, but they didn't say anything to me, and so I continued on my way. And then, just as I was about to put breakfast in, I thought, I should probably ask. That makes the most sense. Just ask and make sure, because obviously there's not a thought in their head about how their needs are going to affect anybody else. And so I asked, hey, did you hear back about your car? Oh, yeah. Whenever you're ready today, I need to go get it, but I have a thing tonight, and so I need to have the car back by 5. All right, so you understand that I work, and that my work starts about as soon as I finish making breakfast. And so whenever I'm ready is going to have to be right at this instant. Right now? Yeah, right now. Well, no, I don't have time later. And then the other thing is that there's another person in the house that drives who doesn't work. So I don't understand why they didn't take the third person who drives to work, which is nearby, bring that car back, and then once the first person found out about their car, they could have taken them to get their car, and then on the way back, they could have dropped back off that third person's car at their workplace, and I could have just gone to work on time, but no. So instead, it took 3 hours of my day to, because, not only do I have to wait around for them to get ready to go at that point, but I also have to wait at the mechanics while they talk to make sure that they can take their car. And it's like a 30-minute drive or so over there. And I had to go get gas, which I wasn't expecting to do. I had enough gas to make my normal weekly excursions and then fill up after my final excursion for the week. I did not have enough gas to spend an hour on the road. And there's no gas stations between where we're at and the mechanic, which may sound weird, but living out in the middle of nowhere, it's all empty country. I mean, like, houses with yards, farms with cows, that kind of stuff. And so there's not a gas station. In fact, there's so not a gas station that the town next to the mechanics, because he lives just outside a little town we had to go through, that town used to have 3 gas stations and now has none. They've all been shut down. So, yeah. Which I guess basically just makes that place, what? I mean, a housing area? Oh, I went too far. Man, should have been paying better attention. But, yeah, so after that, I was able to get started on work, and then, so that was 3 hours later than I intended to start, which meant that instead of getting done an hour early like I was expecting, and then being able to enjoy my evening of extra hour, no, I had to work 2 hours later than I normally do to finish. With that, and then on top of that, it was like 10 o'clock before I finished everything that I consider work for the day. 10 p.m. And, that only leaves me like an hour or two to not work. And so, and part of that was used up by eating dinner. Yeah, it was unfortunate. And so I'm like, all right, well, that really sucked. So then on Tuesday, basically, and it wasn't a mechanic this time, but basically the same kind of thing happened. Something came up, and I wasn't able to start work when I wanted. And I want to say on, oh no, I'm sorry, that was Wednesday. Tuesday, there were 2 hours of webinar I had to attend on top of my normal work hours. So there's another extra 2 hours of work, and so once again, didn't get finished till 2 hours after I normally finish. Wednesday, I had to run some errands myself, which took way longer than they should have, and I didn't get to started at work until 2 hours later than I normally do, which meant I didn't finish until 2 hours after I normally do. And I was like, oh, can I just get a day this week where I don't finish work at 7 p.m.? And so then yesterday they were making so much noise that I got up about 20 minutes earlier than I normally do. And so I got started with work early, and I actually started about an hour before or finished an hour before I normally finish. So, I guess that was okay. I mean, it wasn't nice because I'd have rather got my sleep. But yeah, so it's been a busy week. And I'm kind of tired today because they woke me up early today as well. I don't know what they did, but there was such a loud banging sound. And the problem is that one of the reasons I live here is because some of the people that live here need someone to watch them because they have medical issues. And so every time there's a loud banging sound, I'm afraid someone has fallen and gotten hurt, which has happened in the past on multiple occasions. And so, then I gotta get out of bed, I gotta come upstairs, I gotta make sure nobody fell over and cracked a head open, or, can't get up. Nobody's ever cracked their head open. Usually it's just they've fallen and twisted an ankle or stuff like that. Although there's been some more severe medical problems than that too that have involved calls to the ambulance to come. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I have the job I have is so that I'm able to be here just in case it's necessary for someone who pays attention and can think things through is available to make sure things don't go horribly sideways. Although, honestly, since I got this job, nothing's happened, so that's cool. And really, since we've moved in here, it's only happened about once a year. Well, on average, I guess. But for really, I don't think we've had any instances of having to call the ambulance in about almost 2 years now. So that's nice. So maybe things are settled down. Still, I worry, and especially when there's big, loud, banging sounds that someone has gotten hurt. There's small children here as well, and so, then you're wondering, did they break something? Did they break themselves? Obviously, they're trying to get into something they're not supposed to be in. No, it turns out to be the other adult who, doesn't work, just doing something stupid and making a bunch of noise. Or it's, adult foster care, just being noisy, like normal. And, yeah. So I got up about an hour before I intended to be awake today, because we didn't get finished last night with our D&D stuff until like 4 a.m. So I say last night, but it was really this morning at 4 a.m., which is ridiculously long. Some of that was my fault. I will I will take the blame for some of that. I really, we had a pretty good session last night, story wise, and I wanted to get to, I had a goal in mind, and so I wanted to see if we could get to a specific spot before we finished. I mean, I don't know what's happening ahead of time, but I knew we were getting close to quitting time, and one of the guys who shows up late every week was already complaining that we had gone on longer than he would have liked. Of course, if he'd show up on time, and we could get started on time, then we would have been about the same spot and ending at the appropriate time instead of an hour and a half late. Not that he was an hour and a half late, but he's one of the guys who also makes everything drag out longer than they need to be. Um, and But yeah, I quite enjoyed the story side of things, and our DM said he wanted to move us away from what we'd been doing, which was short little missions, to something with a bigger storyline. And so last night was the start of a bigger storyline, which I was very interested in getting some information about. And so I kind of pushed a little bit at the end just to get one last little bit done before we quit for the night. And so we did run a little later than we probably should have, and it was partially my fault. Some of it, though, is not my fault. Once again, we last 2 weeks ago when we had our last session, we had fought a bandit, and the bandit, we were taking his heads back to the bandit and his crew. We had to take their heads back to the city where we got the quest from, and so we're on our way back there. And so this drives me crazy, and I don't understand why they do it. And it's not just one guy; it's two of them. And so we get into this small little village that we've never been to before, and I don't see any reason to come back ever. And they have to talk to people about their backstories every time they meet someone. They also want to go down whether or not the person is married, if they have a significant other, if they are looking for a significant other. Maybe they have some suggestions for them, and stuff like that. And it's just like, no, please, can we just move this along? So far the answer is no, we can't just move this along. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm putting a roof on this place. Because it's a walkway, and you don't usually, leave those open to the elements completely. I'm going to seal this side off, though, because I don't feel that they would want the heat from a volcano bleeding over into the walkway, because people would die. And so we're going to seal this side off. But this other side here, which I put in the wrong spot, because I want to decorate the inside wall. That's going to be three spaces here, and then decorate the inside wall. But I wanted the outside wall just, when you go to like one of those tourist attractions and the inside is all nice and bright and shiny, but the outside is just like drab. That's what I'm going for here. And so I wanna roof this place. over. Whoops. Okay, so it's 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think that's what I want right there. And then this can come up like that. Honestly, well, you know what? I don't think that matters. I think that's fine. Okay, so we got roof, roof, and then that's, yeah, that's a half step down, that's a half step down. We're good. Okay. The other problem I got, though, is I don't know how big this is here. But, yeah, so we started off with a bit of that. And then, and then we killed this bard. And the gnome. Well, I bought in game. I bought a partnership in an inn that we stay at because I got tired of always trying to haggle for the best room prices, and so I just straight up bought the place. And well, not bought it, but you know, bought half interest in it. And so that way there's no more arguing over whether or not we can stay at the inn and how much it's going to cost us. I'm done with that. And so they were wondering what to do with the musical instruments, and I don't remember how it came about. I was part of the conversation, and so it got decided anyways to bring the musical instruments back to the inn, which I'd forgotten about this week, that we agreed to bring the instruments back to the inn. And so now I have a plan for down below underneath this roof. So this isn't quite done yet. Oops. But the wizard in our group, he decided he was going to try and play the musical instruments. He's not a bard. It's not going to do anything. It's pointless. It's pointless stuff that they're always doing that drives me crazy. And I wish they'd stop with the pointless, silly stuff and just focus on what we're doing. But it's every time we play. And then they complain that combat takes too long. And it's just like, no, we don't get rid of combat. They tried to get rid of combat. Not all combat, just combat that wasn't part of the main quests. We're tired of the combat that happens while we're traveling. I'm like, no, because all they do is silly stuff while we travel, and combat is the only thing I get to participate in. No, we can't get rid of combat. That's what I told the DM. And he's like, well, I wasn't going to get rid of combat. I'm like, well, I had to make sure, because I don't know what y'all are doing. And I'm just telling you that I don't want combat to go away, because then it's just silly stuff. And so we had like, I'm going to train in herbalism. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to roll every day to see how well I train in herbalism. And then I want to go out and search for herbs. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that, but I want to try and play the bagpipes. Let me roll to play the bagpipes. Are you proficient in musical instruments? No. Okay, so then the DM, of course, is kind of down for the silliness as well. Not as bad, like he doesn't usually cause the silliness, but he does allow it to happen more often It needs to. And, he's not proficient in musical instruments. He shouldn't be able to play musical instruments. It's a skill. He didn't learn the skill. You don't get to just start doing something. Can I roll to see if I can make a super magic sword? No, I can't because I don't have that ability. I never learned how to even do blacksmithing with my character. So why would I be able to suddenly just pick up a hammer and make the perfect suit of armor? That is basically what they're letting happen with these stupid rolls. And so yeah, that was part of our let's make camping quicker. And so we all roll at the same time for our checks, which is fine. But they still go off and do all the things that drag out camping. And, and then every camp session's like, this is all from the wizard too. First off, I want to see if I can play my musical instrument. And then it's, okay, now that I played my musical instrument, I want to try and copy spells. How many spells can I do before we go to sleep? And in the morning, it's how many spells can I copy before we leave camp? And then when we're on the road, it's how many spells can I copy during the day? And you know what? How about you figure that out on your own and do that on your own in other downtime, or just say these are the spells I'm doing. This is how long it'll take. Because there are rules. There are rules in the book that tell you how long that takes. I'm also curious to know whether or not he is paying for those spells, because that's a thing that I don't think is happening. And I imagine in my head that he is probably, because this is something he would do, he is probably just... Are you still cooking stone? Is that what's going on here? Oh yeah, you guys are doing stone. That he is probably just taking just adding the spells to his spell book after rolling to see if it succeeds or not. But it says in the book that he's supposed to be paying 50 gold every time he does that. And he's copied a lot of spells into his book, and I don't think he pays the 50 gold price for it. I know he pays for scrolls to learn the spells when we're in town, but he still has to pay the 50 gold to copy them into his book, and I doubt he's done that ever, because he only learns the parts of the rules that are good for him. I don't know why he's rolling either, because that's not part of what it says in the book that I can find. So I don't know what they're doing, but I'm not a wizard. I don't pay attention. But I don't pay enough attention to what they're doing, I guess, other than when it seems like they're not following the rules correctly. And not to be the rules lawyer guy, but somebody needs to. And it's necessary for someone to point out, yeah, no, that's not how this works. Especially when you get, if you don't understand how, oh, I forgot to turn them into things. Dang it, and I don't have any wood on me. Where's the closest crafting bench to me? Probably at the farm, maybe? I really don't want to cross the bridge, so let's cut through the farm. And so if they don't understand how the rule works, then every time they go to use it, it's different. And so I hate that, because you can't play a game with people when the rules change constantly, because I never know how to respond. Like, I have to make choices for my character too, and what he does. And so how am I supposed to decide what he's going to do if I don't know how the rule is going to fall this time? Like a great example is I play with the same wizard, only he runs the game on Tuesday nights, right? And so on Tuesday nights, we like, okay, this is great example. So last night I wanted to see how high I could jump. because spiders were on top of a wall and I couldn't reach them from where I was standing. But the wall was only 10 feet high, and so I wanted to know how high I could jump to reach the spiders on the wall. And so we figured out how high I could jump. And it was high enough to swing at the spiders on the wall. And then the DM ruled, hey, if you jump to hit those spiders are going to get an attack against you because you moved to them and away from them. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense. I accept that they will try to attack me when I jump, and he agreed that I could jump that high. I also accepted that I could not take 2 attacks while jumping. It would have to be 1 attack per jump, and I only had enough movement to make 1 jump, so I only got to take 1 attack instead of 2 attacks. Perfectly fine with that. We looked at the rule book, we read how jumping works, we applied that to the game, it worked out great. Now the wizard in the game he runs, we had to look up how far I could jump, and for his game, and so I looked up how far I could jump, and the rules state that I could jump over 10 feet. And as long as I moved running 10 feet ahead of that. If you attempt to jump over something, like a small wall, or something like that is in your way, then you have to roll, you might roll a dexterity check to make sure you can vault whatever the item is before you make the jump. And I'm running along flat ground to jump over 10 feet, over a 10-foot pit to 10 feet away, and I can jump well over 10 feet, long jump, according to the rules. And that dude makes me roll 3 different checks that have nothing to do with anything going on. He makes me roll a dexterity check to make sure I don't trip and fall while moving. He makes me roll like a strength check to make sure I can make the jump. And then he makes me roll another dexterity check to make sure I can stick the landing. Except none of that is in the rule book. And so it's like, okay, well, I probably wouldn't have tried to make the jump if I'd have known there were 3 chances for me to fall while making a simple jump that the rules say I can make. I would have done something different. But no, because he doesn't follow the rules like that. We had another one, too, where we entered a room full of spores. And if you breathe in the spores, you take damage. And, well, I pointed out that I could hold my breath for 4 minutes, according to the rules. And that everybody in the party could hold their breath for at least 30 seconds, and it wouldn't take us 30 seconds based on in-game movement to get across the room. And I'm like, we should just hold our breath and cross the room. And that way we won't take spore damage, because spores are airborne, and so we should be fine. And so the rules say 3, or your Constitution modifier -3 plus 1 minute. You can have a negative Constitution modifier. Minimum 30 seconds. So you can hold your breath at least 30 seconds, or as long as your Constitution modifier. So my character, 4 minutes, which is a long time to hold your breath, but it's a game. He makes us roll a Constitution check to make sure that we don't accidentally inhale while walking across the room. Like, no, that's not what the rules say. Are you going to make us roll a Constitution check to make sure we don't accidentally drown while holding our breath underwater? I mean, this is specifically what this rule is made for, and you're just changing the rules randomly after we decide to do something based on the rules that are available because you're mad we figured out how to get around the damage? Like, you want to make it acid? Fine. The slime is acid, you take acid damage. That'd be fine. But no, it was still a breathing thing, and he wanted us to roll to see if we could not accidentally breathe as we moved across the room. You know what? I really don't have problems not accidentally breathing while I'm trying to hold my breath for a couple of seconds. Seriously. I mean, we literally, according to the rules, dang it, I did it again. I came over here without turning it into... I'm just going to go get some wood and make a bench here, because I know I'm going to do this again. But we literally had to cross the room in under, according to the movement rules, 12 seconds. It would have taken us 12 seconds to get from one side of the room to the other, according to the game rules. Pretty sure I can hold my breath for 12 seconds in real life, let alone in a game where I'm like a superhero. Oh, dang it, I don't have an axe for some reason. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, last night was pretty good. It took way longer than it should have, mostly for the two guys who are always doing weird, not related to anything, silly stuff, who kept doing not related to anything. The other thing they do is their turns take forever in combat, and then they complain that combat is too long. And it's like, my character gets to his turn, and I did have to consult the rulebook last night because I did not know how to high jump, it's called. I didn't know how to do it, and nobody we played with has ever done one before, and so we had to stop and look up the rules how to do it. So yes, my initial combat turn did take longer than normal. But their every turn involves waiting until the moment of their turn, and then once their turn has started, then basically going back over everything that has been happening and trying to figure out what they want to do, which of their dozens of abilities they should try to use, without ever having given it a thought before that moment, which is the problem. Where to move, where not to move. Sometimes they move and then they change their mind after they move, and then they move their character again, and it's like, you have my turn, the other guy's turn, and the bad guy's turn, and I still didn't turn these into slabs, to stop and think about what your character is going to do. Like, I don't know. See, I play chess competitively. Not like ranked chess, but when I was in high school, I did play some competitive chess. And so I'm used to trying to think about... And I played a lot of strategy-based card games when I was younger. Not much younger, but a few years ago. And I don't mean like Magic the Gathering or anything. I mean like Sequence or Euchre or stuff like that, where you need to pay attention and think about what you're going to do before it happens, because nobody wants you to sit around and go back over hands repeatedly trying to figure out what's going on. And so when it gets your turn, you want your turn to go fast, and you want to know what's going on and do it and be done. And this waiting until your turn to even pay attention drives me crazy. In fact, because we play online, I'm pretty sure the wizard gets up and leaves his computer, because he will often come back and go, "What happened while I was gone?" which is a clear indication. But he's also like last night, he's like, "Okay, so what exactly did you just do on your turn?" And I'm like, "Oh man, he just left the computer again." And then it's his turn last night, and we had to wait like 2 minutes for him to come back to his computer. And it's like, dude, just once again, if you want to play, please show up on time and play. If you don't want to play, don't show up. Just tell us you don't want to play. Your character is not that integral to the party. Any one of us could just disappear, and it wouldn't make that big a difference. The DM would just tone the thing down. Maybe. Alright. Way too much chat. But got some decent work done today on this. I guess I wanted to talk real quick about what I was doing with it, and I totally forgot to do that. So let me jump back out here. I guess I should have taken a nap and made it daytime. So like I said, I've got the diorite walls went up today around the back side of this. It's not going to have any doors on it or anything. It's just going to be this gray boxy building, and then on the other side, like I might put a sign right here for the place, if I can do one. And I didn't make any window panes, which is necessary for the inside part yet. So I'm going to put a floor in, so it's going to be the same height as this. And I talked about that last week. And then I want to do a decorative wall on the inside here, which is why this is 4 across instead of 3. I also want to put in like I'm going to use some iron bars, I think, and have like ventilation openings, because this is going to be open to the outside. Just the roof is to stop like the water from getting in here. And then this is just pretty much going to be open on this end. Well, not open, but like hold on, I gotta find these things. There is so much XP just laying around out here. No, so I'll do the tunnel here, and then this side and that side will have the entrance, which will just be like an open hallway. And then out here where the crafting bench is, I'm gonna put in some benches, like some park benches, and then there'll also be like a parking lot kind of thing. I don't know how often these come up, but we have a few around here that are something like this. Like, here's a natural artesian well, and there's just a little park there with like a fence around the natural water coming out of a cliff, and I'm like, why is this even a thing? I had one. Thought it might be cool, since there isn't a lot of room here without getting... Oh, I've used up all my arrows. Since I had this lava, and I didn't want to just get rid of it. Alright, with that, I am going to call it a day. So click like if you like, subscribe, be sure and catch the next one. Ow, get off me. I will talk to you later.